As things stand, let's start with the information. Hey, well, it's been a busy day, but we had to start a little later because, well, things were happening very quickly, and we're here confirming everything. Let's see. Israel has launched an operation that is known as Fire Arrows. They are already closing schools in northern Israel starting tomorrow. And Beirut is also carrying out its evacuations. We're seeing how people in Beirut have already been warned, like civilians, move out of there because there's going to be war, there are going to be attacks. According to reports, the IDF Home Front Command is telling its own civilians to prepare for what's coming. Just imagine. They're also telling people in northern Israel to prepare. Netanyahu is, well, they're saying possibly, right? Trying to make his moves. Also to sabotage the agreement. In the end, the last thing that benefits Israel is this agreement because they would end up in a pretty, let's say, well, bad position, right? Esto no les conviene. At the end of the day, if suddenly the agreement says that Israel can no longer attack Lebanon, and you know there's a Hezbollah operation there where they're getting more armed and getting closer to the border, obviously this doesn't benefit them. And besides, the nuclear issue that Iran was talking about, no. The nuclear issue can't even be brought up. Well, the first sign that things are getting serious is that there's an attack in the southern part of Iran. Apparently it happened on an island, but explosions have also been reported near other launcher sites. The United States insists that the ceasefire is still in effect, but well, that doesn't really seem to be true. Now, among all the images of what's happening in the world, we're going to go into the details in a moment. Obviously, a huge greeting. We're going back to the images. We're not gone. We're here. We're alive here. A huge greeting to the whole community. We'll get to the comments in a moment. But listen, people are reporting in. And this seems like tremendous news to me. This is happening inside Iran. They're reporting pretty intense clashes, according to what they're saying. What do we know? What's happening there?
Well, according to reports, they're saying there are violent, intense clashes near Revolution Square in Tehran between the Revolutionary Guard forces and the PMU militias. And from here, so far, it's being reported that at least 5 people have lost their lives. The clash is an internal conflict. Remember, there were already reports of fractures within the regime and concerns about discontent. That's also why they cut off the internet for 90 days. But today, by the way, it's being restored. And surely, basically, they are opening up the internet for them. I don't know if the person reporting this is inside Iran or not, but it's curious, isn't it? Today, the internet opens up and this information starts coming out.
It's quite strange, isn't it? It's odd how this situation is happening now. It's a confrontation in which for a few days now, we've also seen positions being attacked. Let's go to the map again. No, let's not go to the map again, because in this area in northern Iraq, they've been attacking hard, really hard. Iran is attacking this entire area, and the United States doesn't even comment, as if it doesn't matter. Nor does Iran, right? The point is that they've been attacking in northern Iraq, not where the Kurds are. Now, there's also talk about, well, a rebellion. There are reports of pretty intense clashes, and this is already happening in the capital. We're talking about, I think, they were just waiting for the right conditions to happen. For some reason, these conditions are happening. So let's talk about whether it's a Kurdish issue, an Iraqi issue, or what exactly is known. So far, there aren't many details, just that.
There aren't many details. This information is just coming out from the government right now, isn't it? At this time, let's see if more information comes out about this topic, because these movements are really drawing a lot of attention.
Look. Meanwhile, the following is being reported in Lebanon. Loud explosions are already being heard in some areas, airstrikes. This has been happening today, according to what Global is reporting. Explosions have been reported in this area, but it's not clear what's going on.
There? Well, we have to remember that today Netanyahu came out to give a message, which is part of this, as Pepe said, the intensification of the offensive toward or against Hezbollah. Netanyahu said that they needed to crush, that's what he said, crush the Shia movement Hezbollah at a time when while the United States and Iran are seeking this agreement. It's not the first time Netanyahu has done this kind of thing. Of course, also when Obama wanted to make this agreement, well, Trump removed it. But this agreement, and well, Netanyahu tried several times to sabotage it so that it wouldn't be signed. And well, he didn't succeed this time. And well, in that, Netanyahu says, I ordered an acceleration of our operations. This was, we're going to intensify the strikes, increase the force, and we're going to crush Hezbollah. The army, well, today what they are doing is increasing the bombings in southern Lebanon, especially striking around a city called Tyre. And even though, well, there's a truce, supposedly there was one, there are talks between the Lebanese government and Israel in Washington, which is noteworthy. Well, despite all this, Netanyahu decides to put on the pressure. In the end, it's pressure for two things. If they tell him you can't attack anymore, assuming they could stop him, well, at least do as much damage to Hezbollah as possible. And second, maybe also to sabotage the agreement.
We're watching as we see these images, right? From Lebanon, the residents of the suburbs say they are already on the move. Even in the capital, Beirut, which is where the attack is expected to shift. We're not just talking about the border anymore, but the central part of the country. The IDF, or the Israeli Defense Forces, claim that they have attacked 70 military targets. This is against the radical group Hezbollah with airstrikes that, by the way, are supposedly still ongoing, and tomorrow is when they are expected to intensify. So the ceasefire is basically rendered obsolete in that sense. No, it doesn't seem like this can or has any chance of continuing. So honestly, truly. Here's another image of the Lebanese themselves, leaving, right? In these lines where you can see traffic, let's say according to what's being reported in this area. There are already several media outlets like Yediot, among others, that have been reporting how the residents, especially from the south of Beirut. Let's go to the map to see exactly what we're talking about. And, well, let's keep talking with the whole community as we get closer to this area. Let's see if we're there. Look, that's the border. It's not the border with Israel, right? Here it is. But in the central part, Beirut is a city, and we're going to measure the country from side to side. Let's see how long it is, let's say. We're not going to measure it all at once, just to get an idea of how long it is along the Mediterranean coast. It's 189 kilometers. I mean, just so we get an idea of how long it is, not just by the standards of many countries here in Latin America, because 189 kilometers is nothing. It's from Monterrey to Saltillo, a little more than from Monterrey to Saltillo. Honestly, I think it's about 150 kilometers here, more or less. For now, it's not a distance that, with a highway, you couldn't cover in about 2 hours. Es entonces. Well, that's the distance along the country's length, right? So here is Beirut in the middle part. Let's say 89 kilometers. That's where the attacks are going to happen. And they're telling them to move from there. Now, Beirut is not, it's not a small city. It's the capital. It's a relatively large city. It's not all of Beirut that has to move, but specifically the southern areas. Why the southern areas? Because that's where a good part of the Hezbollah leaders live. Hey, among other things, there have also been some very interesting things happening with the earthquakes that have been occurring. Pipe Loaiza over there on social media shows this image from Chile, but there are several images that have been shared on social media where you can see the movement, where you can see how some computers are shaking and the people who are there in the office, etc. Well, I think this one here is another one. They did leave where they were, right? Because look at how the whole restaurant is shaking there. It's moving pretty intensely. It's no small thing. It's a 6.9 over there in Calama, in the north of Chile. And, well, obviously people already know what to do. They're prepared. Luckily, as far as I know so far, nothing major happened, even though it's considered an earthquake because of its strength. So they're talking about some minor damage. Apparently, that's it. We'll keep updating it as things change. As more information comes in, But for the community that's watching live, especially those in Chile, I'd like to know how things went for you, right? I mean, what situations are you experiencing over there? Meanwhile, as more information comes in about what's happening, well, in this escalation of the conflict, because you can start to hear or even see some operations or gunfire, right? What are we seeing?
And we're seeing how Israel is launching operations. There's the arrow of fire, they're bombing parts of Lebanon. Apparently, in just a few hours, even the Secretary General of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem, is said to be the target. So that's what's expected. Naim Qassem, we have to remember, became the substitute for Nasrallah. He was supposed to be replaced because there was a change, a second one. Nasrallah dies, they put someone else in, he loses his life, and then they put Qassem in. And well, he has stayed, he survived, even though they've supposedly taken his life several times, but he always comes back.
This guy, like I said, has several lives, not 7 lives like cats or anything, but there have been several times when they say, that's it. Qassem has been eliminated, not Naim Qassem. Qassem. And well, it turns out that's not the case. He's still there. He's been clever in that sense to stay alive, right?
Just like Ismail, the other one, the one who's the spy.
Supposedly the alleged spy
For Iran.
from the Mossad inside the Revolutionary Guard, which is no small thing. And well, this is Qassem. I'm saying this for those who don't remember because, well, it doesn't seem like much. But this is the person they say they want to eliminate. It's the operation happening now. They're going after this individual. Basically, that's what's being said. We'll see. We won't know how far this goes, but clearly this, in the whole conflict, well, it could take another turn, obviously. Now let's quickly check if there's any reaction in the oil market. Look, it's the same. Yeah, no change. I mean, it reached up to $96, then went up a bit to 98, but it's still below 100. No, the oil. And it's going to be important to keep tracking oil prices. Because in the end, the more pressure on the conflict, the higher the chances of the price going up. So for us to realize if the conflict is really going to get intense, we have to look at oil. And that's what's going to show us that things are really starting to get intense. What else is happening with these matters?
People are finding out that Israel has basically been excluded from the negotiations with Iran and hasn't even received any information about the progress. The government in Israel is being forced to turn to allies and to its spy network. Well, because they even have it in the United States, don't think they wouldn't have it there. They have people everywhere to monitor what's happening, what's being negotiated, and what's not. And well, obviously, there are also senators there who surely tell them how things are going, like what's going on with this agreement. Well, it's still there, right? It's pending, whether it happens or not. It's a topic that, well, we've been dealing with for 2 months, more than 2 months.
Today, I realized it's already been almost 3 months. Yes. So today, Netanyahu admitted in the morning that it's been very difficult for him. Well, and he doesn't make that public, obviously. But this gets leaked by people close to the Israeli prime minister, let's say, who leaked it. That in fact, this last stage in the relationship with Trump has been complicated for him. Because let's be honest, he's not being persuaded, so to speak, about the next moves they want to make. So what does this mean? Well, it means that the conflict is now pointing not to a joint interest, but to a particular interest of the United States. That now, this time it changed. It shifted toward other interests. And now the terms that Israel wants no longer align. For Israel, ideally, the regime would end. It would be over. But that seems difficult, at least.
Exactly. And then today, the spokesperson for the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bajereri, came out and said that they are being asked what they will do when the assets are unfrozen, which is supposed to be one of the points they want. There are some assets that need to be unfrozen, several funds, several accounts with money they have around the world that are frozen, besides other things. And definitely, we will spend part of that money on missiles and drones. I mean, it really doesn't help. No.
Well, no. Or, I mean, just imagine they're already saying that when they unfreeze the money, they're going to arm themselves to the teeth. Obviously, this isn't ideal, right? So,
and Well, right now there's something strange happening in Iran, at least according to these intelligence reports about planes, right? It's being reported that a plane carrying high-ranking officials from the Iranian government is heading to Moscow. This is happening just a few minutes ago, well, hours actually, say hours, after the United States attacked these boats, these launchers that were placing mines in the Strait of Hormuz, in the southern part of the Strait of Hormuz. Well, this high-level delegation that's flying to Moscow right now is surely considering possibilities. I mean, what options they have if the agreement isn't reached?
Well, what else? What else do we have on that matter? If not, let's move on to other important topics. Let's go to other interesting matters as well. All right, we're going to move on to other topics. Just one detail. Let's talk about what's happening in Russia and also what's happening with the Ebola issue, right? There is also news in that regard, but they're crossing today, and that would also explain why gas and oil prices have been going down. Several ships were crossing. I mean, there was a certain kind of normality in the Strait of Hormuz, so that caused prices to go down. They went down despite the strong pressures, and even though ships are still moving a little, it's estimated that right now there are about 20,000 sailors stranded there who can't cross.
Exactly. It's reported that several natural gas tankers crossed the Strait of Hormuz and several are on their way. Obviously, their destinations are allied or friendly countries, let's say Iran, Pakistan, China, and India. Also, a supertanker loaded with Iraqi crude oil and headed for China was stranded for 3 months. Well, it managed to cross today, and well, this is part of the impressive number of ships that are stuck there. Yeah. Ships from different companies, like Furwitz, LSD, Pekar, ships from Rasfan, Lafan, also in Qatar. And by the way, container prices have gone up dramatically in this sector, right? Of the shipments and so on. Of course. Or well,
Let's go, right? Let's move on to other important matters happening in the world. But be careful. There's a movement happening right now. At this very moment, let's say significant military movement. Earlier today, we mentioned how many US military planes were still flying to the Middle East, going back and forth, apparently to European bases. And it's not very clear what it's for. Well, it seems like it could be this, right? That they're about to start operations in that regard. They're preparing for something or getting ready. While there's talk of a ceasefire, there are also significant military movements being made, both by Iran and by Israel and the United States. So let's stay alert to that issue. At that moment, there's a video showing the downing, basically, of a KH-101 cruise missile over Kyiv in Ukraine. It's part of the footage that has been circulating in different areas of this conflict, let's say. Another thing that draws attention is, well, now we've seen what's been happening in Washington, where they claim that Donald Trump entered the Walter Reed Medical Center. The idea is to undergo a medical exam, which is supposed to be annual. Yes, and there have already been reports. There have been specialists who insist that there is a physical health problem, but also a mental one. The President of the United States is just weeks away from turning 80, and look, you can be 80 years old and very healthy and lucid, but many times that's not the case. And especially with prevention. These people, we didn't see it much with Biden, who was already slipping, but as soon as he left office, and when you see him speak, when you see him in interviews now, he seems pretty sane and quite lucid. Of course, because he no longer has the pressure of traveling all over the world and being in meetings and meetings and meetings, which, I mean, the workload they have is that tremendous. On this topic, well, Trump is going to be involved in all this medical stuff. Obviously, they're going to reveal whatever they want to reveal. The same thing happened with Biden, who it was later found out had several important health problems, but basically they weren't revealed until after he left the presidency.
Exactly. It always gets attention because, for some reason, Trump really likes to brag about the cognitive test they give him. And when someone says, hey, why are you bragging about that? He says, they show me an elephant, a squirrel, and a lizard. Then ask which one is the lizard. And he says, saying that those kinds of tests aren't to see how smart you are, they're for something else. Yes.
To look at other things. But anyway, he brags about it a lot. He really brags about it.
What he does is talk about the change in animals. He leaves them aside.
Several issues with what's happening inside Russia. Today there was a meeting. Even this guy showed up. What's his name? Marco Rubio. Yes. Right? Marco Rubio showed up with this guy, right?
Well, not there was a call. An important call where Lavrov basically warns Marco Rubio to evacuate their diplomats from Kyiv and also the citizens of the United States. I don't know if they're talking about a really strong attack. The Ukrainians think it's mostly something psychological to create fear. You could see it in the last attack where the Oreshnik were used, which were quite unsuccessful. 2 of them landed in a garbage dump. And they didn't even cause any damage. So a lot of the weapons didn't work the way they were supposed to or the way they were expected to work.
4 people died, despite the 600 drones and several Oreshnik and all that. Yes, 4 people, 69 injured. But let's say for the level of attack that is presumed.
Yes, but given the attack scale and being told the Oreshnik would basically wipe out all of central Kyiv, it was, well, nothing major happened. At least that dump wasn't destroyed. And what? The market.
But the market.
That was the hardest part.
Was the hardest part.
I think it was attacked by an Oreshnik or by a drone.
Or by a drone, who knows, and other missiles crossed as well. That's another issue within what's happening. A plane carrying high-ranking Iranian officials, as mentioned earlier, is reportedly heading to Moscow. And this is also very interesting, since we're talking about Russia. Let's highlight this point. Let's see what happens. Iran is looking to establish strong relations, especially with Russia, which is currently where a partnership could most likely be formed. Since, well, China is still a country that in the end has too many interests in the United States and too many interests in Europe. We saw it when it also gives, and also in the Gulf countries, by the way, when it gives these defense weapons to Saudi Arabia, for example, to destroy drones that Iran is launching at them. So obviously China is not playing on the Iranian side, but rather on its own side, right? Basically, but Russia could maybe be a bit different in that sense. And that may be because there is more hostility, let's say, right? From Russia towards Europe and the United States than from China, really. So, well, that's an issue. We'll have to pay attention to see what messages they give, since right now there isn't much possibility for movement because of the war between Ukraine and Russia. But certain types of aid can still be given, especially on issues related to food, which is a big problem today for the Iranians. So, those kinds of supplies could be an important key for the near future. Another issue that also draws attention and shouldn't be overlooked is that more information keeps coming out from the appointment books seized by the UDF. Over there, Zapatero's frontman would be revealing that there was an operation involving the trafficking of oil and gold in Venezuela. It was already known about 200,000 barrels of asphalt per month and 2 million barrels of crude oil per month. That's part of what is starting to come out in the Zapatero case and what is around the former Spanish president. It's a topic where everything is starting to come out, so to speak. Not exactly.
What it's for, exactly. Then Europeans really like to brag that there's no corruption and all that, but then all the dirt starts coming out between this and the Qatargate thing. Do you remember Qatargate? Now you can see they're not such angels after all.
No. Of course, there's corruption. There definitely is, but maybe it just gets overlooked more or something. I don't know. But there definitely is corruption. And well, do you remember that congresswoman during the pandemic, right? The one who got caught up in corruption too, a member of the European Parliament. Do you remember that was a really big case?
Oh, but real quick, I mean, how many politicians here in Mexico go and flee to Europe? To begin with, I mean, why the heck can they live over there so peacefully? Did they pay? Did they want to? Right?
What did they do? Right? Exactly. As I remember, didn't Salinas de Gortari go live in London, by the way? Right? Yeah. Who knows where he's living? Maybe over there, right? I think so. Imagine Ireland. Well, I picture him in Ireland or in London, somewhere over there.
Don't tell me.
Who knows where he is, right?
Hey, by the way, today, since we're all talking about Ukraine, can we go to you?
Well, there's a bit of everything. There's all kinds of things.
There's all kinds of things. It's like a market here. You've seen everything. Well, there was an event, quite an incredible act by Ukraine. A Ukrainian drone reached Kaliningrad. Imagine what it takes to reach Kaliningrad, which is a small piece of Russia that's squeezed between Poland and Lithuania. And basically, there's just a line that connects it to Russia. It's probably a highway. Well, they say this drone must have crossed, well, Poland, right? And it's surprising that they didn't say anything. I mean, it must have crossed either Poland or Lithuania, one of the two. Yes, because both of them. And it was surprising that it wasn't
Russia.
Belarus, yes. Either it wasn't intercepted, or as they say, NATO let it pass, or it didn't come from Ukraine. It came from Belarus, just like Pepe just said. And, well, it's a...
Even so. Anyway, it would have to go through Poland or Lithuania, right? Through one of them, right? At some point, it would have to go through there, either through Belarus or through Poland, right? But look, there it is. It's 400 kilometers.
From the closest shore, don't you think?
I mean, it's just an estimate. No, that's it.
If I leave it in Cuba.
Because, well, we would have to see exactly where it hit and all that. But it's between 370 and 500 kilometers, depending on where it hit. And also depending on where it was launched from in Ukraine. If it was even launched in Ukraine, that's also the thing. Now, also with these balloons, right? We would have to see what kind of decoration it says now. It doesn't say. It's not the decoration type. Because now, with this whole balloon thing and the winds and all that, well, a lot of ideas came to my mind about what could happen, and hopefully others don't get the same ideas. Because above all, considering that there's a lot of hostility and there are also some very radical groups, imagine this idea that's already out there. It's not a balloon. You can know where the balloon is going, or you say the balloon is heading to a certain country. You can have a lot of objectives, right? And say, well, wherever the wind takes it, right? And the wind is going that way. So what objectives do we have there? Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's no way to detect what basically, I mean, it's not like it's a drone that's moving. It's a balloon that's not emitting heat. It's a weather balloon, right? But the thing is, you're going to activate it. And when you do, you'll only have minutes to react, right? I mean, actually, you won't even notice because it's just going to be another drone. It's inside there. Suddenly, the drone appears inside your country.
You didn't see it come in.
You didn't notice it arrive. You don't realize they're already on the verge. Yeah. This is really crazy because, I mean, not just in a war, but radical groups could use that kind of thing. So these are ideas. It's not mixed, right? I mean, I don't know if the idea just came to him like that or from watching the news, you know? When they launched those poop balloons, the North Koreans said, hey, wait a minute. Why are you sending that? Why don't you just attach a powered off drone to it? No one will detect it because it's off. It turns on when it flies over a certain country or when you choose to activate it, right?
This drone stuff is really intense. I mean, we've already talked about how Hezbollah is already using drones, but it's not just Hezbollah. Besides, here in Mexico, armed groups do it too, and in Haiti, the gangs as well. I mean, you wonder how the heck they get their hands on these things. I mean, how is it possible that they're getting weapons, they're getting drones to attack the population, the police, and so on?
Miami. Well, you know that's in Florida, right? What's the place called? Little Haiti, right? Is it in Miami or is it in Florida? It's in Florida.
Flourishing.
In Florida, I don't remember which part of Florida Little Miami is in, but oh God, sorry, Little Haiti. That's where they're supposed to supply from
Finance.
weapons and things like that. So yeah, it's intense. Let's move on to the other important matters. Hey, in Italy, the Ebola alert is being activated since 2 travelers have been hospitalized. 2 people who were coming, I think, from Uganda.
Right. They went to Uganda, and well, apparently, according to the Italian Ministry of Health, they have some rather curious symptoms, right? And for safety, they've put them in this quarantine. 2 people with feverish symptoms have been transferred to the Sacco Hospital in Milan, which is a facility equipped with the highest level of biocontainment and management of high-risk infectious diseases.
In Milan?
In Milan, yes. In Milan, Italy. And well, the authority assured that these 2 people will undergo diagnostic tests according to national and international protocols, while their family is also under health surveillance. These travelers recently went to Uganda, and they are obviously being checked as a precaution, evaluated, and so on. And also, I mean, it would be good to know, in case they have it, where they went, how they got from Uganda to Italy.
Well, there it is. That's not the point. The thing is, that's the issue, right? How these situations are happening. The interesting thing, above all, is going to be how they act in Congo. Really, because, I mean, let's say a case shows up in Germany, say in a Ugandan or whatever, or in a missionary. Well, the thing is that over there, in that sense, there really is a very clear order. No. And I mean, the problem is completely stopped. So it would be very difficult for that kind of disease to spread. Besides, those kinds of bats aren't in that area, at least not the ones they've detected in the Congo. But what I feel is, well, you shouldn't let this spread, right? Not even let it get out of Africa, right? I mean, you have to get your act together enough to say, let's contain this first, and then, well, you can open up again. About travel, what happens, for example, right now with the Congo is that there's a lot of chaos. They're discussing riots and other issues, correct? And on top of riots and problems with hospitals, they don't let them bury the bodies of their loved ones, which on one hand you understand because, well, you want to bury your family member. But on the other hand, it's also a complicated situation because there are protocols that they don't want to follow. So there is a group of people who are specialized in burying, yes, and they just don't want to.
No. In fact, there's a video out there. It's not that we can't show it, of the Congo, where people are wearing full specialized suits, completely covered, and they're carrying a body. And well, people are pulling them to take the body away. I mean, it's really hard to watch that because they're also putting themselves at risk. Ultimately, if they come into contact with any body secretion, they risk getting sick and infecting their families too. But it seems like even though they already have a long history with Ebola or with it, they understand this point even less with the other strain than with this one.
No, it's like I don't know. But anyway, let's move on to other important matters as well.
Well, fortunately for California, authorities have confirmed that the worst case scenario with these chemical tanks has been ruled out in Orange County.
The worst case scenario is no longer...
Yes, it's no longer possible. Well, at this point, they don't see it as viable, but the team obviously still has work to do. It doesn't mean it's already been solved. First responders and officials met tonight, Monday night, in Orange County. They were giving information about this leak at an aerospace facility in Garden Grove and explained that thanks to their efforts, they have been successful. And during the night, they managed to reduce the risk to the public and allow residents. Evacuated residents will return to their homes. Let's say the perimeter has been reduced and there are certain people who can return to their homes. And we knew we had to come up with a plan. That's what we do. This was said by TJ McRober, who is the interim chief of the County Fire Authority. I am pleased to report that throughout today, the most catastrophic and worst case scenario has been mitigated and resolved. He says, but we're not done yet. we still have a lot of work to do. Right now, they say more or less the amount of water they've used to reduce the temperature of these tanks, and they used millions and millions of gallons to cool down the chemical tank that was overheating. This is what they report. If we have a full capacity deluge system, and then we have a ground monitor supplying 1,250 gallons per minute, we're talking about millions of gallons. So, well, right now they're analyzing other options because, well, obviously they're using water. Well, surely at least drinkable, potable water, potable, semi-potable. But right now they're trying to analyze using rainwater to reduce the amount of water being used, because it's not like we have an abundance of water on Earth at the moment. In California, which has become an issue in California. And well, right now this topic is being addressed. The temperature has already dropped from the 100 degrees it was on Saturday night.
Yes, degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes, degrees Fahrenheit, down to 93 degrees on Monday afternoon. Still high, but okay. Yes.
Gil, well, the thing is that
Anymore.
yes, exactly. No, now they have control. We confirmed it this afternoon. But well, they say the problem, or in the update they just gave, well, they say the problem is no longer so much about an explosion, but rather, well, it's that the crisis is still there, and that the problem, well, toxic issue, which could be, well, that it could even get out of control again, and they might have to evacuate again. That's why they can't fully let people return yet. The evacuation hasn't been fully cancelled. Only part of it has.
The perimeter was reduced by 65%, which I think is quite a lot, but they are still asking people not to return to the area that is still under evacuation. They've already detained about 6 people who returned. They were in the danger zone. That's true.
Dragged several people. No, I think they arrested about 7 people over this issue, because there are people who just don't want to comply.
There are those who don't know, those who won't listen, and those who take advantage to steal, because that always happens. There's always someone taking advantage.
Yes, people taking advantage are awful. Let's move on to other important matters. Hey, we need to talk about 2 interesting topics. One of them is what's happening in Bolivia. We have to remember that Bolivia is in a huge mess where they say things could get even worse, leading to an even bigger disturbance. No. There's even talk about a potential coup by Evo Morales' group. And basically, they don't want to recognize the current president. That's basically it. They don't want anything else. They want elections, but only on their own terms, so that they stay in power. I mean, what else could they want at this point? Bolivia right now doesn't have, at least for the moment, any possibilities for negotiation. That's what's happening. That's how things are.
But right now, President Rodrigo Paz came out to announce some measures. Obviously, it's known that there's also some discontent. Well, he's trying to fix the situation a little bit. He announced a 50% reduction in his salary and the ministers' salaries in the midst of these very strong protests. Today, I think Peru is sending them food because, well, there are people who are having a hard time getting food and medicine. There are already several people who have lost their lives because they don't have access to medical care. And, well, what Paz says the following, and I want to let you know that this president is not Sucre, that this president, together with his ministries, has made the decision as part of the country's commitment to reduce his salary by 50%. He said this in Sucre, the capital of the country. And, well, salaries in Bolivia were already the lowest in the region. I mean, they were already low to begin with. And, well, his salary will go from being $1,200, which is equivalent to a little more than 3 times the minimum wage, national minimum. I mean, he's going to lower it enough, let's say, to fix the situation a bit there. Well, the government's image.
Right now, they're still demanding the resignation of President Rodrigo Paz in these marches. This is happening amid protests, but also in riots. It's an economic problem, but it's also quite a serious political problem over there. And well, they've been sharing images, and these images from Oliva Oli, Oli Vargas, and so on are appearing on different social networks. So these and others, the reduction of, well, the salary reduction is a symbolic issue because obviously it doesn't really have a direct effect on people. But anyway, that's and well, it's interesting that there's this communication with Lula. I mean, Lula Silva. Lula. Yes. I mean, Lula Silva says the following. They don't say, I received a phone call this Monday afternoon from the president of Bolivia, Rodrigo Paz. We talked about the humanitarian situation faced in Bolivia as a result of protests and road blockades that have been causing shortages in some regions. So this whole matter that he publishes in his official account, this Lula Silva, well, in the end, it's also a demonstration. Well, of what? Because Lula is left-wing after all, right? What? And for the right, but going through institutional channels. Because, I mean, he could have easily said something like, you know, Evo Morales or whatever. But no. Wait. I mean, you're stepping outside of the institutional framework. You're causing disturbances. You're making trouble. Well, by saying this and by saying I'm talking to the president, etc., Lula Silva also shows that there is respect for the institutions as well, right? That's a topic I find interesting, and it's not the first time Lula has made this kind of move. We have to remember that several times he harshly criticized Maduro at the time and even went so far as to say that it was a country that wasn't a democracy, etc. I mean, we know he was critical, especially when the elections in Venezuela weren't respected. So, well, that's also part of what's interesting about this issue. Let's move on to other topics. How have you been? How's everything going for you? Thank you so much to everyone in the community who's joining. I'd like to ask you all for a huge favor. Please give it a like, share it, and help us out that way. And if you want to go further, there are several ways to support this channel in the description. You already know there are people in the community who support us by sharing with their friends on social media, on WhatsApp, and so on. Others help us out with a super chat. Isinte. Well, everyone finds their own way to support this international news project. Greetings to Adrian Gilbert. He says, greetings to the family. How have you been, Adrian? It's great to see you. Greetings to Spain. Eliseo Freire, Raúl Sachs, Marvin, Luis Rojas. How have you been? Luis Rojas says Calama is the most beautiful mining city in Chile. How have you been, Luis? How did it go for you with the earthquake situation? How did you feel it? What was your experience with all of this? You have a lot of experience there, right?
Greetings from Panterita. I don't know what that means, but it sounds really funny. And Evo Morales says the showcase Pionono, the pine no.
No, I don't know what greetings.
Pionono,
no sé qué
Panterita.
sea.
Greetings to Eliseo, Edwin, and also to Victor Sega. How are you, Victor?
How are you? Greetings to Victor.
Rian Gilbert says, and with the sun at 6:31 a.m. Greetings to Pablo, who says, Trump eats McDonald's. I hope he's healthy. He's the only one who defends Ayusa. Greetings, Pablo.
Greetings. He eats a lot of McDonald's and a lot of Doritos, right? That's a topic he really likes, although supposedly he's been taking care of himself lately, right? Yeah, he says it's like he's reached the age where you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah, he says we have to take care of ourselves now. Regards.
Greetings to MT from the United States, who says they're taking Evo to prison. If things keep going like this, they'll take him.
Greetings, how have you been? Leonardo, hi to you too. Leonardo Escudero, what's up? How's it going for you? How's it going over there? Also, Pablo, a big greeting to you. Edwin Cleo, hi there. MT says, well, if he's already taking it. Okay. This is also from Guadalajara.
Martin says, very suspicious sabotage. It says, Martin, greetings.
Hi there. Thank you very much to Raul for that like. Tapatia, how have you been? Hi there, good evening. Greetings to Christy Kranz as well. Hi there.
Yes, the Pionono, chocolate Pionono, the little baby few. I don't know what that is. I don't know. But it sounds really funny. Greetings to Luis says, I was born in Calama, but I live farther north of Arica, where the earthquake was also felt quite strongly.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Well, thanks for the info.
He says it's a song that was dedicated to the former president Hugo Morales. Okay?
I didn't know it. Okay. No.
Greetings, by the way. Raúl Sachs just got out of the hospital. He was hospitalized for several days.
You're right. Well, you did message us from the hospital, right? Yes. Hey, Raul, how did it go? I mean, if you don't mind sharing, but it's good to know you're here with us. Warm greetings to the community and everyone who occasionally shares part of their life with us. The truth is, We really appreciate it. And we're also glad to be there with you sometimes in difficult situations, maybe, right?
Yes. Greetings to there's Fidel Botella. How are you, Fidel? To Ofe Mendez, to Tapatia, to Rosalinda Moreno. What an honor. Juan Rodriguez Sanchez is also here. And we also have, well, MTX Herlanos with us. Greetings to Vederi. Vederi says what's happening to Lebanon is a disgrace. True greetings. Greetings to Hector Quiñones, who says now things have really heated up and they're using the World Cup list as a smokescreen. The biggest massacre of recent times is coming, says Hector. Greetings, Hector.
Greetings to Hector. How have you been? Tapatia says it's really hot over there, right? And well, what's coming, right? Because, well, it's just starting. Did Tapatia say that? Yes, it's starting strong.
Here it says that it's really calm, really calm.
The weather is extremely nice.
Exaggerated, yes, yes.
The weather is suspiciously nice.
I feel like we're going to get slapped with a heat wave right away. They say greetings to Joao, greetings from the Bronx in New York. This war keeps going and spreading and they're taking it. Greetings.
Hey, how have you been? It's 23 degrees now.
At 23 degrees this morning, it was, I think in Chiapas, if I'm not mistaken, over 40 degrees. Poor kid. In a documentary, well, a video about schools, the kids have class outside because the classrooms get super hot and they're there with that darn little fan that blows on one and then not the other, right? And many kids, unfortunately, get dizzy and feel sick. Yes, it's just ridiculous. Here, the elementary schools all have air conditioning, I think.
Yes, it looks like all the ones we've seen so far have air conditioning.
Now, whether they work or not, who knows?
They need to work and be turned on. Hopefully they are. But yes, you must have it in place just like this.
Yes, now when you reach that level,
You need air conditioning or things get difficult. I mean, we're talking about how in many schools, suddenly it gets up to 40, 45 degrees here, and you have to be prepared. It says here, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I think a photo of my pets was sent to the community area. Awesome.
very good.
Great. I'll check now, Leonardo.
Doc says, let me tell you, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and my levels are already very high. I didn't know I was diabetic. Wow, it's important to keep it under control.
No, man. Well, thanks for letting us know, and well, take good care of yourself, obviously. And it's type 2 diabetes. Yes. Look, well, so what have they told you? I hope that, well, everything goes well, right? That you can control it well. And obviously, there's already a lot of information about how through diet you can do some very interesting things with all that, right? Yes. Martin, a big hello. How have you been?
Jala, greetings. Italo from Chile and sending you a big hug from Chile.
Greetings, and Italo, how have you been? Hello.
Greetings to Miguel Espino, who is watching us from Ocala, Florida. Greetings, Miguel.
What's up, Miguel? How have you been?
And also greetings to Digna Gil, who says, I think Trump gave Israel the green light to attack Hezbollah. It would be good to know, right?
It would be good to know exactly how those others are.
Maybe they're having a heart there. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that too. Let's see the reaction, right? The reaction in the next few days, right?
Yeah, I haven't said anything. He says, Marvin, greetings to everyone. Unfortunately, I don't interact with everyone, but I've known you all for a long time. Greetings, Marvin.
Greetings, Marvin. Thank you for joining us. And thanks to all community members like Marvin who comment. We appreciate it. He says, I'm alive. Greetings. How have you been? Marcela Riquelme, Adrian. He says, I'm going for Zapatero's Jules. I'll be right back. He says,
Greetings to Elvis Rojas. He says, normally diabetes is detected by chance, urinating a lot, being very thirsty, losing weight without dieting, especially when you are over 45 years old.
Absolutely. It's extremely important to take care of yourself. Definitely take care of yourself. So, well, yeah, that's how things are.
Martin says Spain has a huge scandal with Zapatero. Yes, a really huge one. Edwin says Ebola, where we already mentioned the news. In Italy, there's a person they're checking. Yes. Because it was, well, 2 people who went to Uganda because they have symptoms, and, well, it doesn't hurt to check them. Greetings also to Says Tapatia. Yes, they informed the meteorological service at UDG that the heat will continue, says Tapatia. Well, Marvin says here something not for us. Greetings to Marcela Riquelme, Marcela Panterita Sísmica, and also says Gisela Jaines. How are you? Greetings all the way to Panama.
Greetings also to Saludo.
It says greetings to Alfonso Galoso, who is watching us from Bakersfield, California. How are you, Alfonso?
Hello. How are you? Very good. Greetings to everyone in California watching us. Alfonso, always connected. Thank you.
Ian Gilbert asks, Pepe, have you seen the guy who appears in a video about the antivirus and another one about COVID? No.
No. I haven't seen it. No, well, they always put out those things, like conspiracy stuff. They edit it, change it, mess with it. Well, I mean, I'm a bit tired of that because every time they send me the videos, I check them, I look at them, I see where the trick is, I send them back. But now I haven't really kept up with it because it never ends, Let's say things like that are always coming out, but not just about that topic. I mean, about any topic you want, right? It's impressive. People who have nothing to do and start editing and messing around and, or finding things out of context. They say this movie said something. And look, now what was said in this specific scene of this movie is coming true. Well, yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, obviously it's always interesting, entertaining, but that's all. No, I mean, I'll check it if you want me to check it. I'll check it. But normally that's how it's been for me, with the whole COVID thing. That's how it was. Now, this character regrets it. What's his name? The one who tore his shirts. He was an expert at that. I mean, expert in quotes. Alex Jones, right? That's what he lives off of. Oh yeah, that's what he lives off of, right? Like, look, this person looks exactly like this other person. And yeah.
Luis Rojas says Ebola is transmitted through the secretions of the deceased and because there are very poor sanitary conditions. Yes. Greetings also to Raul Sachs, who says, advice, check your glucose. It's better to be safe than sorry. Greetings, Raul.
Greetings, Raul.
Greetings to Victoria GG 2850 and also to FB Cinema, who says, hello, greetings. My Zoom H1 microphone broke, but I'm going to fix it or buy another one. Haha, greetings.
To FB. Greetings to FB. Very good.
Adrian says, yes, I've thought the same. The editing.
Greetings also to, por ejemplo.
Right now, Adrian, there's a video going around. I mean, what was it from? Man, I can't remember which movie it was, but talking in reference to the World Cup, right? I mean, the things they say there about 2026 and this World Cup, basically saying for sure who was going to win, right? And it's really crazy because, well, suddenly there are things or parts that match up. Or there's also a comedian here. Man, one who's really famous here. But he's not from here.
The one with glasses.
Yeah, a tall one.
Yes, I don't recall if he was from here.
My brother sent it to me. He asked someone something, I don't know what the context is or anything, but I mean, he asked something about Cruz Azul, and he says, when are they going to win? And he says, Cruz Azul is going to win in 2026, but it's a video from 2020. I don't know if it's edited or what the deal is, but he tells me, first of all, did Cruz Azul win? I mean, I don't know. Cruz Azul champion? What year? 2026? Let's see. Yeah, it says they did win in 2026. It says, yes, they won in 2026. So in 2020, he said, when are they going to win? In 2026? Yes, and also Mexico, right? They'll make the World Cup semifinals.
Against Portugal.
Did he say that? No. I saw it today. Semifinals. But I mean, Mexico has never reached the semifinals. I mean, yeah, it would be something crazy. No, he doesn't even make it to the final. I mean, no, to the semifinals.
Get them past the fifth match.
Get past the halfway point of the fifth. But I mean, I don't know who was in this interview or who was there or anything, because I just have this little short clip. And so, well, it's interesting because he's right about two things. He got that right. And hopefully he'll be right about the one about Mexico too, right? I mean, that would be awesome. But anyway.
It was stuck for years.
Someone who knows about this video I'm talking about, let's see what the context was or why they said this. If it's really from 2020 or not. I mean, I don't know, right? Someone must have seen it somewhere.
Hello to Javier Fernandez. How are you? Hello to Darwin Blanco too. How are you and how are things over there?
Greetings.
Greetings as well, says Leonardo. Pepe, I was already looking into it, and if a person with a very advanced stage of Ebola touches something with their saliva, it can infect someone else. For example, if they use a glass, no one else can use it. Greetings to, I don't even think they have to be that advanced, from what I see. Greetings to Martin Gutierrez. He says humanity goes from war to war. It doesn't change until it flies. The world will remain calm, says Martin. Greetings, Martin.
Greetings, Martin. Hello.
Victoria says nothing happened with the 6.9 earthquake, I think. Yes, no. When I gave the report in the afternoon, well, they were only talking about blackouts, which, well, there are blackouts even just because of rain. So that's really good, right? Honestly, Chile is excellent. They have really good buildings. Greetings from Cebolla. I'm joining late, but I always watch the replay. Excellent, Cebolla.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Ebola. Big greetings. I got curious to see how the world is doing regarding diabetes, right? Type 2 diabetes, correct? Specifically, let's see which countries have the most diabetes in the world. Here it is. Let's say in order, right? Let's see. There are several points here, right? It says countries where the problem is brutal. It affects more than 15 to 20% of adults. Here we go. These countries: Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Egypt, Pakistan, Mexico. Pakistan is huge. It's about 30% of the population. I don't know what they do or eat there, okay? Mexico is also there, but not as much. But there's Turkey, South Africa. Brazil is number 1 in Latin America, by the way. Brazil, when it comes to diabetes. The United States is also there. India, Pacific Islands. Spain is not there. I mean, that's a good point. Argentina isn't there, for example. I mean, there are several countries that aren't there, right? It's always been said that Mediterranean food is quite nutritious, quite interesting. Likewise, in Spain, Italy, and other countries, that cuisine is now recognized as one of the best in that regard, right? And then here, well, among the major powers, who are the ones with the highest rates of diabetes? India, China, the United States, Pakistan, Indonesia, Brazil, Mexico, Bangladesh, Egypt, and Turkey. Those are among the largest economies in the world. So these 10 make up the top 10. The ones I'm going to talk about are the most critical group. Let's say the overall top for diabetes: Kiribati, Nauru, Tonga. These small countries in the Pacific Islands and all those areas have an extremely large problem with diabetes and obesity. Well, some travel YouTubers have documented this, saying that people there are really, really big. Let's say they're also quite large, as people say, right? Venezuela, Peru, Colombia, Libya. The ones I'm going to mention, sorry. They're among those at the worst level. Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Tonga, Nauru, Kiribati, South Africa, Malaysia, Turkey, Pakistan, Egypt, United States, Mexico. It's there. Bahrain, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, level 2. Not so high. United States, India, Indonesia, Bangladesh, China, Philippines, Thailand, Iraq, Iran, Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Peru, Venezuela, Colombia, Chile, Argentina. Chile, Argentina has a problem too, but it's not that high. Upper middle level, Spain, Italy. They do have a problem, but not as much. They put upper middle level for Spain, Italy, Germany, United Kingdom, France, Canada, Australia, Japan. Look, that surprises me. South Korea, Russia, Ukraine, Poland, Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, Norway. Upper middle country, upper middle level of type 2 diabetes. Medium level, already more in the green, let's say already less problematic. Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, Nepal, Vietnam, Angola, Bolivia, Paraguay, Ecuador, Ghana, Cuba, Guatemala, Honduras. Well, I think I already mentioned them all, and the healthiest area in that sense, or the countries with the lowest rates of type 2 diabetes in the world. They are in these countries, and they include Switzerland, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, New Zealand. I'm not detecting a pattern here. There's Ireland, Austria, Czech Republic, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Croatia, Slovakia. Well, all the countries, basically Northern Europe and Eastern Europe, don't have a very low level of type 2 diabetes. So, well, that's how things are. These are more or less the percentages, right? Obviously, it's a huge issue. And here it is. So this is a list, for example, from Latin America. In that sense, look, well, I think this is for the prevalence of overweight. It's not so much about him anymore, but I mean, the data is also interesting. Look, let me see if I can put it here on the screen. This is the topic of overweight. Specifically, it says that's The Economist. It says 10 countries in America with the highest prevalence of overweight and obesity. And 7, who are in first place? Yes. I mean, what's up with Mexico? Come on, Mexicans. Try harder. No, I mean, Mexico has always kind of been in first place.
I didn't expect Chile.
Chile really does have a huge problem. Yeah, it really has a serious problem.
Rico. Chile, first place in obesity after the Bahamas and Puerto Rico. Also, look at Mexico. After that, Belize, the United States, Panama, Paraguay. That's not good either. Belize, the United States, Panama, Paraguay, Argentina, and Peru. Those are the countries. Argentina, yes, yes, yes.
That's wild. Hello to Emma Andrade. How are you, Costas Emma? And greetings to Amanda Cuna watching from Key West, Florida. Greetings also to Darwin, who is on his way to the Colombian embassy to exercise his right to vote.
Very good. Awesome. Greetings, Darwin, and I wish you all the best. It's great to know that you're doing well and that you're here in the community. A big shout out to you. And when you have a chance, tell us how you're seeing the situation right now, if you can.
I mean, greetings, my idea of who I am. It says, watch out in X. I mean, in X, there was a trick they used to do, posting 3 posts with 3 different predictions and they would hide them or something like that. If one of the 3 came true, they would make it public. The correct one, of course.
And it seems like it's from the 2000s or something. For example, here on YouTube, you can't do that. I mean, you can and you can't, because you can make it public, 100% public, and then set it to private, right? And then later you can publish it again and make it public. But a lot of people would notice, especially if it's a big channel. If it's a big channel, people would realize that you publish these things and that you're cheating, right? But if it's a small channel that published 15 videos, they were public with 15 different predictions, he deletes all except the one he thinks is most likely, right? He leaves that one active or the one that was correct, right? So, but what's interesting about this is that, well, the video in theory is from this son. I forgot the name of, sometimes he acts as the medium. It's Camila. It's Camila. It has that little part, that interview. I insist. They gave me a tiny little piece. Amanda says, sorry. Amara Acuna says, I'll tell you here in Key West, Florida. The electricity has never gone out, and now it's happened 3 times during the week. Imagine blackouts with no warning. So, well, and what have they told you? Because look, here I keep track of the power outages constantly. We're watching what's happening over there in real time. And Florida has shown up several times. But it seemed like it was because of the fires. When the fires happened about 2 or 3 weeks ago, yeah. So I don't know if that's related to that issue. But right now, for example, there's nothing going on. I mean, Virginia in any case, and Texas are the ones having blackouts right now, but they're relatively mild. I imagine it's because of the storms that have been happening lately, right? It must be because of that issue. Other than that, it doesn't even reach 100,000 customers, let's say. Yes, right now in the whole United States, says Jose. I was here partying for my father-in-law's birthday. Hey, the parties never end.
Right? Well, with that big family, like FB Cinema says, I don't even know how far all this is gonna go. Ha ha ha. More and more, and the world is just one. And the topic of diabetes is an important one. I need to break the bad habit of not giving it enough importance. Greetings, FB Cinema.
What? How? How is it?
I don't know.
Greetings, Victoria. How have you been? Hello. Mayeres. How have you been? Greetings to everyone watching, including those on replay. Thank you. Who else is up?
Leonardo says it. Peace. Yes, Pepe, I was looking at JP Morgan's predictions that said by 2030 Europe will no longer be among the world's top economies. First China, then the United States, and then India.
Well, let's see how things develop. But there's definitely a reshuffling. Reshufflings. Yes, a reshuffling, clearly a shift among the major powers, right? In the end, I think that even within Europe itself, there will also be changes, right? Germany seems slow to react and isn't digitalizing or expanding into many areas while others are.
They create many obstacles and everything takes a long time.
Yes, they're very, very, very insistent on the mechanical side. And that's something that, well, we need to let go of. But we also need to speed up in other areas. I mean, you don't just stick with what you already control and manage well, and you start expanding into other areas like software, which is where other countries in the Middle East, in Ireland, and even Israel obviously are heading. Well, Spain, by the way, is also investing a lot in that area. even, well, in the area of AI, ideas that are also being heavily invested in. France, by the way. I mean, yes, it's not. Who's going to be next? Taiwan? That's the question, right? Where is it? Where is the next Taiwan currently developing? In the sense that they have that level of advancement, right? Taiwan is really impressive right now. I mean, will Taiwan be able to keep it up? It says there that India and China are also 30% of the world's population. I mean, that's a really good percentage. They're there, and they're also betting a lot on that, right? On the East. You have 10 million people in X. Let's take the example of certain sports, right? You mobilize millions of people to differentiate who the talents in sports are and identify who are the natural talents. Then you just train them and take them. And obviously it works for me. And look at all the medals they have. Since they have a huge population, it was just a matter of getting organized, right? Of course, among millions, someone will have talent, just like in India. When it comes to engineering and all that, they give them really tough, super complicated exams because those who pass are going to be really good, not just good, amazing. Shout out to the whole Panterita Victoria community. Awesome. Thanks for subscribing, Victoria. Have a great night, everyone. We'll talk again tomorrow, right?
Remember that we're on WhatsApp and Telegram, and we send you notifications about the latest things happening right now. And well, we're also on Facebook, X, and Insta.
Great. See you tomorrow.
We interrupt your regular programming. Thank you for tuning in to The Truth. This is PP. Live! The truth is intense. The unusual is real. We analyze it here. Global focus, don't miss out. Tune into the channel. PP Live taking over the airwaves. And Astrid telling it like it is. Raw journalism. Respect matters here. Turn on alerts. Don't lose track. Until next time. We're taking attendance.